Okay, so welcome to another Elite FPL podcast with myself, Mr. Paul, and Sonny Devon, and my good friend Jason and Stevo. Guys, how are we tonight?
Hey guys.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening. So yes, another interesting weekend of Premier League football. We're going to be talking all things Torbay Elite. We're going to be looking at the top four, and we're going to be looking at the teams that have scored highly in our league as well. Going to be talking about my decision to wildcard as well, so having a little look at that. We've also had some questions into our Instagram page. We're going to be, Stevo's going to be answering those later on with my and Jason's insights as well. So yeah, just generally looking at also the weekend ahead and all the action. And we're going to start off by looking at the top four. So obviously going to go to Jason because his team is still sitting pretty at the top of the league. Jason, how do you feel the game week went for you?
Yeah, it went really well. I got 59 points. David Silva not playing was a little bit of a disappointment. Yeah, Højbjerg came in again. Well, actually, no, he didn't come in again. I would have actually liked it if he'd have come in the previous week, but Højbjerg came in his stead with 2 points. So yeah. I'm happy I stuck captaincy on Salah. I was pretty confident going in, and I still am. I still remain confident that Salah is going to perform in the forthcoming game weeks. We'll touch on that later on. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. I was hoping for 60, but I'll take 59. And you know, it's been a really interesting week because we've seen some massive scores from people that are willing to take a few risks. We'll touch on that as well. So yeah, pretty just above average, but I'm happy with the score.
Excellent. Okay, and just looking at the top four, I can't see the screen share, so it's a bit tricky.
Here we go. No, it's coming up now.
Awesome. Always good to see it. So yeah, if we look at Mr. Horsfield going off the league, charging off again. Surely Stevo's got plenty to say about this.
Yes.
Jesus.
Well, hello. The lead has now been cut to 21 points, and I'm overjoyed. I did the maths actually on Saturday evening, and I actually knew for a fact that I'd end up second because obviously the hero, which is Wan-Bissaka of Crystal Palace, was coming off my bench with his 9 points. And by that moment, due to the fact that I brought in Richarlison, so I've decided to do something a bit cheeky, which is counter the teams around me by basically copying their teams, so to speak. So you may have noticed that I brought in Richarlison. I can't even remember who I brought him in for, but I brought him in. But also the players that are in third, which are now third and fourth, Connor Lee and Ben Towler, they also have Richarlison as well. And I've been doing a bit of digging here, and I was looking at the top four teams as it stands right now. So between me and Jason, there's only 21 points. Between Jason and third, 22. It's extremely close. First and fourth, only 28 points. Now, there's not much gap, as you can tell, in there. But then we've got like a contender here coming up, which kind of scares me. For the past 2 weeks, Terry Roos has done really, really well. He's had a score of 97 2 weeks ago. He got a big score this week of 70. And he's the team that I'm kind of like concerned, not for myself, but more for Ben Towler, who is fourth. Now, Terry's only 19 points now off Ben. And as you can see, Terry's got a few differentials in there, which for me scare me. So if we go back kind of full circle to the top four. So Jason, over my team, has 6 differentials. But of those 6, there's only 2 that scare me, where I think to myself, they're going to be ones that really are going to worry me if I hear these particular teams have scored and these players would have done something. So in this case, Jason's got Salah and David Silva. So Ben Towler in third. He has 4 differentials from me. And again, he only has 2 players which worry me, which are Zaha and Robertson. 2 players which will consistently be getting points each week. Fourth place, Connor Lee. He's got 8 differentials from me. Only 3 of them scare me. And again, it's Salah and Robertson, but also Zaha. Now, you can probably see a pattern turning around here where, again, I haven't really done the full maths of the 4 teams in the top 4 and their differentials, but I can't see there being that many. And we're virtually playing the same team week in, week out. And it's just by chance this week I've taken the most beneficiary out of it. And a bit concerning for Jason is that he's dropped down to 1,000. It's an amazing rank still, but he's dropped down to 1,052 in the world. I've gone up almost double the rank. I've almost half the rank that I was last week, and I've gone up to 8,469th in the world. You know, and yeah, it's becoming one of those. It's becoming one of these dilemmas where someone like myself, I'm thinking, do I just continue plodding on with the team that I've got and kind of almost counter? Do I counter the players that have been brought in by Jason, Ben, or Connor, or do I just buy the players that they've bought? And to be fair, I actually bought in Richarlison because of his fixtures. But Jason, you bought in Ryan Fraser last week. Now, admittedly, they had Burnley away, and Bournemouth were on top form at the moment. But were you happy with that transfer, Ryan Fraser coming in? And were you worried that I brought in Richarlison?
I was a little bit worried that you might have brought in Richarlison because that was my original plan. And it still may transpire that I might upgrade. I've got a bit of money in the bank, but I'm not this season. I'm not going to regret one game week. Fraser has got some tasty fixtures coming up, doubled up with Wilson as well. The options there, I can always upgrade, or I can upgrade Wilson to Zaha, or maybe even downgrade for a little bit more money to Jimenez, which I think Jimenez is going to start picking up. We touched on the rankings, and yeah, I did go down to out of the top 1K slightly, but it's still really tight at the top at the moment. I mean, you're looking at a difference in points. Right now, I am behind the 100th place team by 18 points.
Wow.
I'm behind rank 1 by 48 points. I mean, this is 1-2 good game weeks, and you can catch those points up. I'm not saying I'm going to, not for any stretch of the imagination, because as you've already said, there's a lot of teams that are utilizing a template now. There's a lot of familiar faces that we're seeing across a lot of teams in the top 10K. I think the main talking points going forward is going to be Harry Kane versus Mo Salah. Who's going to have the confidence to back Harry Kane? Who's going to have the confidence to stick with Salah? Maybe neither of them are going to do. And we could be talking in a couple of weeks' time on how Kane and Salah have disappointed and how maybe other assets have shone instead.
It's funny you mentioned Mo Salah because I've come up with a devious plan where I'm potentially this weekend. I don't think I'm going to do it, but I have looked into it based on player prices as they stand right now. And you're going to be surprised to know that I'm actually seriously considering bringing in Salah for an 8-point hit, because I'm willing to take. Yeah, I can see your face there. I'm willing to take an 8-point hit at this stage of the season, knowing that I'm still in that safety barrier of being in the top 4 and still able to possibly benefit from Salah's points. And the reason why I'm thinking about this, there's a particular player in mind that I'm keeping close to my chest, where his statistics are very, very good. He's actually performing really, really well. And after this game week, he's got an excellent set of fixtures. Salah, as we've discussed a million times, his underlying statistics are suggesting that he should be performing better. He's actually performing better than last year. I've always stated that he's not performing to the value of what he costs. I still stand by that. However, the player in the team that he plays for, which is now, surprise, surprise, like he does every year, is slowly slipping away, is Mane. Mane, every year, he starts off like a steam train and slips away. I think Salah, based on the fact that, okay, it's only one goal, but last week he could have potentially had 2 goals. Now, my colleague, Fatora, he came up to me and he said, we're 1-0 already. Straight away, my heart sank. And I'm thinking, Christ, just tell me the scorer. Just tell me the scorer. And he instantly said Salah. And I went, knew it. I knew he'd score. It's only been 30 seconds. However, about half an hour later, another colleague of mine, Sahil, he actually said that, oh, wait a minute, he didn't score it. He must have gone down as an own goal. My heart was like, oh, the relief. This is fantastic news. Now, obviously, he scored again. Now, they beat Southampton 3-0. Who got nothing in that game? Sadio Mane. Salah still got a goal. I'm now slowly coming to a conclusion that actually Salah will actually be a must-have coming up soon.
Well,
so, yeah,
it's interesting you said that because he started that game, I think, for the majority of the first half, if not for all of the first half, and maybe into the second half. Salah was playing centre forward with Firmino on the right and Mane on the left. And he was getting a lot, he was getting involved in a lot of passing plays. He was getting into a lot of danger areas. And I started seeing glimpses of like last season, which was great, owning him. It was frustrating because he didn't, the goal that he got was essentially, it was a free kick from Alexander-Arnold that hit the underside of the bar, landed midway in the goal on the line, and he just poked it in with his foot. So there was literally just a goal poacher's goal.
And funny you mentioned Trent Alexander-Arnold, because that's again another player that Terry Roos has got. Now, last week he benefited from a sub appearance from Trent, and this week he actually played and got his magnificent 11-point haul. These are 3 players which, I mean, like I said, he's got Trent, Jimenez and Firmino, and these players are just bringing steady points at differentials compared to the three players that we own. And Terry's the one that I'm kind of a bit worried about possibly jumping into that top 4 and somebody falling out. At the moment, as it stands, form-wise, Ben Towler looks like the player that can fall. But, I mean, talking of, you mentioned Harry Kane there. Now, congratulations to Cy Bellamy. We know he's a very regular viewer of the podcast. And Cy got the highest game week score. Now, unofficially he got 80. Officially he got 76 because he took a -4. But he captained Harry Kane. And I remember last week, Jason actually said that if you did have Harry Kane, he may be a massive differential to captain against Brighton. Now, this is the key for Harry Kane, is that not only did he get a goal, he got maximum bonus points as well. And now us Aguero captainers like myself. Now, admittedly, he was taken off, but got no bonus points whatsoever. And, of course, the player that I was kind of slating that Sai had, Gundogan, he went and got, I think it's an 11-point haul as well. So a couple of differentials there. And, congratulations to Sai, doing well. And I mean, talking of teams doing really, really well, Dan alluded to it in the intro. And you wild-carded, Dan. And just like with Jason and myself and Ben's teams last week when we wildcarded, and I worked out how much we made points-wise on our wildcards. Well, it turned out that you actually made a +11 on your team from last week. So, Dan, why did you choose to wildcard? And because I've got a few questions for your team, which I was surprised at when I looked at. How are you finding your wildcard team selection?
Yeah, I think last time out on the podcast, I said I'd always risk it rather than play safe. But if I'm being honest, I did play a bit safe, but I was just desperate to improve. I looked at my midfield, and I just thought it was just dire, to be honest with you. So look, I mean, obviously Jason's got the team up now. Looking at my team, I actually did keep a few players from my old team, but I did strengthen the midfield a lot. I jumped on the Lucas Moura bandwagon with the game against Brighton and the games that Tottenham have got ahead in mind. I kept alluding to players of pedigree that could be differentials but were expensive. So I was going to go for Son, but I bottled it because he cost more money. I was potentially looking at Vardy. so there was Eriksen, there were a few players, and I was just toying with it. But then, you know, my head just kept saying, you've got to get Hazard in. You cannot avoid Hazard. I basically structured it on Hazard, Aguero, Salah, which is all, you know, players of category.
So why, I've got written down on my notes here, what made you go with Salah, considering he takes up so much money? And based on the discussions that we've had on here, you actually plonked with him. Why is that?
Gut feeling, to be honest with you. Gut feeling. The underlying statistics that Jay actually mentioned before as well show that he has been performing well, but just not necessarily to the level that we expect. And I just, as we say every year, there's always a player that just delivers the goods. We can reference back to Suarez, even further down the line back to Bale, and obviously Salah the season before. There's always that one key player that comes through, and I just got a feeling really. And as I say, the underlying stats. And I watched the highlights of the game on Saturday, and as Jay said, the goal was a goal poker, but it was a great instinctive finish, rushing in there to get that. And he did actually have a goal disallowed for offside as well. So I was like, yes, come on, second goal. And then it was like, oh no, that's my Saturday evening ruined. But even in the first half, he was trying like a back heel with it, you know, 6 yards out on the spin turn. And it's like getting that goal and the smiles on his face again. I just you know, we can look at all these stats and we can look at everything, but sometimes you just watch the game and you see a player playing and you just think, now he's got that goal, that's off his mind. And yeah, I think you can't afford to be about Salah. I'm going to put my neck on the line.
I mean, I always rate teams out of 15, so players that I would have in my team. And I actually gave your team 10 out of 15, but two players I was surprised that you brought in, which I'm surprised you haven't kind of, I don't mean this in a patronising way, haven't learned from like some of the more top players in our league, which have just got a set and forget goalkeeper. You remember Schmeichel of all goalkeepers, and I understand Fabianski, and ironically, 11 points was left on the bench. And this is exactly the kind of thing that I'm learning with a set and forget goalkeeper, which is you don't have to worry about points that are left on the bench. And Fabianski left on yours with 11 points. So what's the... why have you gone with a rotating pair? But more importantly, why Schmeichel?
Patricio was on his bench.
Yeah, I was wondering what you said about my mate Fabianski.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure I didn't Fabianski. I had enough of Fabianski playing for Arsenal for those years. Don't know my own fantasy team. Well, actually, to be fair, Fabianski played really well on Sunday. He is a good shot. Sorry, Lucas.
He's getting those save points, isn't he? He's just amazing.
Yeah, he's playing well for West Ham. But no, I mean, Leicester's fixtures coming up are pretty good, to be fair. Huddersfield hadn't scored away for about 35 years. And then, of course, the Belgian striker, I can't remember his name for Huddersfield, he scored straight away almost. So that was out the window. But yeah, Leicester's fixtures coming up are pretty strong. So that was the thinking behind Schmeichel. And then I basically just stole Jay's goalkeeper because I know he's been doing well for Jay. Wolves fixtures coming up aren't bad. They're not amazing, but they're not terrible. And they're both 4.5. So it was getting rid of that, obviously getting rid of Edison, which was the premium goalkeeper, so I could allow potentially for the future more Man City assets into my team. That was part of the thinking behind that as well. But I was very pleased with my my mate Maddison getting the free kick and an excellent performance against Huddersfield.
Yeah, isn't he performing well? I was.
You know why? You know why? Because this guy at the start of the season, I was like reading up about new players, and you see him in there in the Leicester City shirt. He's got a Rolex watch on, and I'm like, what is that all about? So I knew he had something about him, and then I've seen bits of his play, and but yeah, obviously getting back to an FPL perspective, you know, linking up with Vardy and Iheanacho, and on corners, on free kicks, and yeah, very pleasing to see that work. But I have to admit, looking at my team again, I wish I'd taken maybe one more risk because I have kind of, in a way, played it safe. But I'm glad I've got Mitrovic in. I don't know whether it's the Bournemouth connection, but Callum Wilson is pissing me off because I've stuck with him and he's not really paying it. And I did see a stat somewhere that he missed most of the key chances. He's like missed 5 or 6 key chances in games for Bournemouth this season.
Well, but believe it or not, Callum Wilson at this stage in the season is the 3rd top performer on Understat. He's in 6 appearances. He's had 16 shots on target and 8 key passes, resulting in 2 goals, 2 assists. So he's overperforming. This is obviously top performers in relation to their expected goals and expected assist, stats. He's still doing quite well for the minutes he's played. He's not quite played as many minutes as the likes of Harry Kane, Mitrovic. He's played less minutes. But yeah, I would still keep faith in him. He's got some nice fixtures coming up.
Yeah, sorry to interject there, but it was either him or Josh King. But then Bournemouth got smashed by Burnley anyway. I'm sure Steve-O was getting the vodka out after that performance by Burnley. Aaron Lennon's turning back the years.
Yes.
So,
quite extraordinary. But, I mean, we were talking about big hitters, and it just kind of links us into a couple of questions that, well, in this case, Cy Bellamy asked. And we do ask people that watch this, if you have any questions for the upcoming game week or about fantasy football in general that you want to ask the 3 of us, please send them in. It just makes the podcast a bit more interactive. But Cy did actually ask me directly, but I can throw it out to you two as well. He asked me if I'll be going forward with not owning Salah or Kane. Well, I've already kind of answered that question inadvertently earlier on by just saying that I'm actually considering taking an 8-point hit. However, me personally, as it stands, I'm not really worried about Salah in the sense of, oh God, if I don't own him, then none of my other players are going to be able to cope. Like I've said 1,000 times in this, the players that I actually own at the moment are covering his points, so I'm kind of not worried about it. Kane, on the other hand, he's got, I believe, Cardiff and Huddersfield first, and then it's Cardiff the following week. We know what happened last year when he got double hat-tricks in a row. He's not quite performing at that level as of yet. They are very favourable fixtures, but Tottenham, as it stands, they're not really doing much. Again, funny enough, Trippier and Lucas Moura are 2 players which I'm kind of thinking, why did I get on the wild card? Lucas Moura's done nothing. Trippier, he got me an assist, and I think I'm kind of happy with the decision of having him. But Harry Kane, for me, I'm not really interested in as of yet. It's more of a case of once I start seeing him consistently performing. Again, I keep saying this. I look for value for money. Harry Kane, as it stands, isn't worth the money because there are other players that are cheaper than him performing better or the equivalent of. What do you guys think of Harry Kane?
Going on what you said, I mean, Harry Kane is one of those players, isn't he? He's like, he can explode, get a hat-trick, but is he consistent enough? I mean, at the moment, he's not showing any signs of exploding, or at least performing to the same level as he was last year. And whether it's just him having a slow start, or whether it's just...
Sorry to interject, Jason. I was just thinking aloud here. Could he be potentially an Aguero replacement? We've seen Aguero's minutes. He's only just about lasting the hour mark, and Guardiola just seems to like taking him off.
What is tinkering?
Whereas Harry Kane, he will be playing the full match.
Well, before I used my transfer this week, I did actually look at... I could afford to do Aguero to Kane. I have enough in the bank to do that. And I did consider doing that. Even though Aguero is going to play 60, 70 minutes, I'm more confident in Aguero getting more point returns over the next 4 game weeks.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of form versus fixtures, and as it stands, like you said, Aguero's form is actually a lot better than Harry Kane's. But I'll tell you what, mate, that if you were to do the Harry Kane move, that would certainly change things up a bit at the top of the league for a differential. Certainly. What do you think, Dan?
The thing with it is that this season Aguero, he signed a new contract, and he's obviously had some injury problems last season, but he's had, and he's actually publicly said he feels fitter than ever. He signed a contract at City, and obviously apart from the Champions League slip-off, Man City are smashing it in the league again. So it's all confidence, and like you say, it's form over fixtures. But yeah, Harry Kane, ever since that, it's weird, like ever since that game in the World Cup for England against Colombia, after that he just seems, other people have been saying that he just doesn't seem himself and is he carrying an injury, because let's face it, for Spurs, if Spurs don't play Harry Kane, they've only got Llorente, and he's not exactly a spring chicken anymore. And that's something that Spurs really should have addressed in the transfer window. So Spurs are very heavily reliant on Kane, and Kane's goal against Brighton was a penalty. So as Jay says, he's not, as you say, we're not. I mean, it was a good penalty, but we're not seeing signs of him firing like we've seen Salah doing back heels and smiling and running around. So, but like you say, those fixtures are bloody good, and it is tempting, and it could be one of those ones where, you know, as we said last season, he was able to get some hat tricks against the lower teams in the league, and he got 30 goals in the Premier League last season, and he got the Golden Boot.
Well, they're kind of.
So it's going to be one of those decisions that, when you look back at the course of the season, it's like make or break.
Yeah, I mean, Sai also asked another question, and again, thanks for the question, which was a bit of a silly one, really, but I kind of understand where he's coming from, which is, how far away do we think the amount of points should be enough to not be concerned that someone could catch us? So as it stands, what Sai's getting at is 44 points to catch the top four at the moment. The Sai's 44 points away from us. Now, we've just been talking about Harry Kane, which is a player that Sai actually owns. And surprise, surprise, this is when technology is letting us down. So, unfortunately, we can't actually see Sai's team. But, yeah, Sai actually owns Harry Kane. So, straight away, he's got an advantage of it over the top four straight away. He has an advantage over Terry Roost. And I'll tell you what, if Sai was possibly to captain Harry Kane this week, just like he did this week, differential, then Sai could easily climb the table and hit that top four. I mean Jason alluded to it in the top 100. He's only 18 points away, and from top spot itself, only 48 points away.
Going by this, I mean, I think that realistically now, anyone in the top 15, I would say.
I knew you were going to say.
Oh no, maybe top 20. Maybe not top 20. 18,
but yeah, certainly. I mean, it's very, very. It's really early days at the moment. Yeah. I wouldn't be concerned about how well. Ironically, if I was in Sai's position, it's one of those where I'm like, wait a minute. If I was in Sai's position, it's like, oh wait a minute, I'm 44 points off top four. For crying out loud, I'm 60 odd points off Jason in first. It all depends on what your goals are at the start of the season. I'm fully aware we're all wanting to win it.
When you play your chips, for example, and one good triple captain, one good bench boost, one great, when there's a blank game week, you might play a free hit and catch, 20, 30 points on the top.
It's certainly, I mean, I say I don't want to be giving tips away. I mean, it's bloody stating the obvious, but it's just a case of go with the players which you're kind of happy with just plodding along at the moment. Like I said, this is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm kind of like, I've pretty much got the same team as the teams around me. It's bringing in the odd differential which is going to perform at some point. In my case, I brought in Richarlison. So you've got Harry Kane. That's the equivalent of Richarlison. It's that differential from the teams around you. And what I genuinely think, I really was thinking that Everton would score against Arsenal and Richarlison. When I heard that he was going to be playing up front as well, my smile just got bigger and bigger. As I was thinking, oh God, if Everton score, it's going to be Richarlison. It's going to get me even closer to Jason. Unfortunately,
well.
but yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get past Petr Cech, mate. Petr Cech was there, saving everything.
He was unlucky not to get on the score sheet, actually.
No, that's the thing. But, I mean, that all nicely links us into the weekend predictions for game week 6, as ever. And I'm sure Dan will let us know what his dead cert is. But, again, I can probably guarantee which one it is straight away. The game week kicks off with West Ham United at home to Man U. Man U coming off what you could say is a disappointing result against Wolves. I certainly would be if I was a Man United fan. I've got it down as a 2-1 victory versus West Ham, but what West Ham did to Chelsea, and hearing that West Ham actually playing really well, it actually could end up what the history says, which is 1-1. But yeah, so Dan, what do you think on West Ham versus Man United?
Yeah, great result for the Hammers on the weekend against Chelsea. Could have won it right at the end, and getting a clean sheet against Chelsea. Fair play to them. My mate Fabianski did really well. But Manchester United, on the other hand, drawing at home to Wolves. Disappointment for Man United. Sanchez going off. How's that worked out for you, United fans? But on a more serious note, sorry, Jay. I'm sure he'll come good. But I reckon United are going to sneak it on that big pitch at the London Stadium or whatever the hell it's called nowadays. I just think United are going to. I mean, obviously they got the result against Watford. 2-1 United. I'm going to sneak it.
I've never known such a long prediction. What I was going to ask about United, Jason, was Lukaku kind of failed his test for me last week against Wolves. However, somebody that passed the test as a striker was Lacazette. So, what do you think on this game, just yourself as a United fan? Do you think you're going to get past West Ham?
I think it's going to be 1-0 probably. Or there's going to be one goal. There's going to be a 1-goal margin. So yeah, and I'm not going to discount West Ham winning 2-1. At the moment, United are just looking so they're all over the place. Pogba's doing okay, but like you just mentioned, Lacazette. If I could pick either Lacazette or Lukaku in my team going forward, there's only one answer to that, isn't there? I mean, Lukaku's just not. He's not passing the eye test, and he's certainly not looking, stats-wise, he's not looking as dangerous as I would hope he would be, playing for a Manchester United team with Paul Pogba and Alexis Sanchez, behind him. I would expect him to be putting away more chances.
Yeah.
So yeah, without trying to go into a long prediction, I 1-goal margin, and I hope that we can get it.
Well, last week when we did our predictions, I keep saying how, ironically, Dan's doing really bad this year. Well, last week he actually won because he actually got more correct outcomes bang on than the history, basically. So well done to Dan there. So talking of Wolves, they're at home to Southampton. Danny Ings will be back for this game. I don't think he'll... I was actually originally going to put this as 1-1 because it wouldn't surprise me if this will be the game where Wolves did really well last week and then they just have a bit of a hiccup against, like they did with Everton when they had 11 men for the majority of the match. But anyhow, that aside, saying all that, I think Wolves, due to the fact that Southampton are just absolutely rubbish in front of goal, will keep a clean sheet, and now I'm going just a 1-0 victory.
Yeah, so Southampton obviously got that battering at Anfield on Saturday just gone. Wolves have looked really strong at home this season, getting points off Man City and Everton. I reckon it will be. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Wolves.
Yeah, Wolves are looking right. It's such a gelled unit as a team. Like I was just talking about Man United. I wish they're just like not looking a team at all at the moment. Like Wolves are the complete opposite. They played really well against United, and like if you're not certain about your forward at the moment, maybe you've got like a Danny Ings or any other like sub 7 mil striker in. I mean, Jimenez is looking like a nice option going forward, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him getting a goal or two against Southampton.
Yeah, I mean, the history's going with 2-0. So agreeing with Dan there. Talking of Arsenal, as we were, it's Arsenal versus Watford. Arsenal have had a few problems over the last couple of seasons versus Watford here. I think Arsenal edge this I'm going to go with 2-1 to Arsenal.
Yeah, we lost to Watford at Vicarage Road last season, and they knocked out the cup a few years ago. We've had a few difficulties against Watford, with Troy Deeney questioning our kahunas, as they say. Against Everton, we didn't really play that well, to be honest with you. In the first half, the much maligned Petr Cech put in a man of the match performance, rolling back the ears, making lots of saves from your mate Carlson. And to be honest with you, like, as good as some of the new signings are looking, we've still got that problem at the back. And I don't know, there seems to be some sort of breakdown between the midfield and the defence. I think Watford are going to score, but Lacazette is looking right bang on form at the moment. That goal was fantastic. And Aubameyang, he's always going to get goals. So when you've got those two on your side, they'll edge it. And I reckon I'm going to go 2-1 to the Arsenal as well. So up the Gunners, let's get another win.
2-1 again, copying my score there. The history's actually going with a high-scoring 3-2 victory to Arsenal. And again, I think Lacazette's going to be in the goals. And could he be one of those players which I got on the wild card the whole time and he actually outperforms Aguero? So
also, one more thing I want to say about Arsenal as well. I watched that game and Ramsey was like almost man of the match for me. He was brilliant. 2 assists.
Yeah. The thing with Ramsey is, like, he's not really a right winger, but he doesn't have that sort of in him. But he does have these key moments, and for the 2 goals, particularly for the first goal, when he sort of spun around Davis or whatever it was and laid it off. And he does have this understanding with Lacazette. I've noticed that those two have got a good sort of flicks and stuff. So, but Ramsey, you need to sign a contract, mate. We're not having another Sanchez Ozil situation. Sign the bloody contract. I doubt he's watching, but you never know.
I mean, Jason was talking about sub 7 million strikers. I'm going to go with a sub 6 million striker, which is he's performing relatively consistency for this team that are doing okay this season. It's Everton versus Fulham, and the player that I'm talking about plays for Fulham, and it's their striker Vieno or something. And he got this last week. It's who, sorry?
Vieto,
is it?
Yeah.
He got an assist last week, and I can see him doing something against Everton. Everton defensively are absolutely pants at the moment, and I can see Fulham getting a draw out of this and a high-scoring 2-2.
Yeah, like I said, Everton, they did play well against us, but I think we play open and teams can get chances against us. Just the nature of it. And as you said, Fulham got the draw against Watford, looking good this season. I fancy the draw as well, actually. I'm going to go for 1-1, just to be different.
1. I mean, the history's going with a comprehensive Everton win there of 3-1. They've actually got a very good record versus Everton. I mean, you joked about Huddersfield 35 years without scoring an away goal. Well, they're at home this week. They're playing Tottenham, and this could be where Cy Bellamy's differential Kane captain, if he decides to go that way, may come in handy. I'm going with a 2-0 victory for Tottenham.
Yeah, I remember. I think I watched the first half of Huddersfield against Tottenham last season. I think Harry Kane got a hat trick or something. They just smashed Huddersfield. But Huddersfield have put in some committed performances this season and got a couple of decent results. But yeah, Tottenham, that win will lift them, I think, and they're going to get back on track. And I think it will be 2-0. I'm cocking you again, mate. Joint podcast team, joint predictions.
I'm worried that Kane's going to get 2 goals.
Yeah, as well. I mean,
and Tongan getting the third.
I mean, the history's going with a 3-0 win. I mean, could this be a game where actually it could be a bit of a wise decision to actually possibly use the triple captainship, Jason, on Harry Kane?
No.
There we are. That's the very simple, comprehensive no. Well, talking of a team which has been battering some teams left, right and centre, I think they're going to do this again to Brighton. It's Man City at home to Brighton. I'm going with 4-0. So, yeah, 4-0 to Man City there, Dan. What are you going with here?
Could be like Anthony Joshua getting in the ring, about rushing again. You know, it could be a few knockout blows at the Etihad on Saturday. Yeah, Man City, like I predicted, they won. Was it 5-0? Brighton are gonna. I don't know. Brighton are putting. They played well against Tottenham. They beat United, so maybe it'll be a bit more even. But I'm gonna go for 3-0 Man City.
I think Man City are one of those teams where, like, it almost seems I've watched every Man City game this season, and as a United fan, I'm just I'm just jealous of the way they're playing football. I think everyone has to appreciate the style of football that Pep's playing there, and like they could score as many as they want to score.
So can I ask you a question then, based on the fact that you've watched them? So last week when I saw Aguero get taken off by Mahrez, yeah, perfectly fine swap, and then I see Mahrez go and score 2 goals.
Yeah.
Did he score 2 goals because it's just simply the fact that Aguero wasn't there? Was it because Mahrez was playing in a different position and actually the team he was more beneficial for the team around him and they played differently?
I think the majority of the midfielders got in the goals and the assists, didn't they? It was like Gundogan, Sterling,
Mahrez, yeah.
Sane. Mane. No, genuinely right now, it's just the Man City merry-go-round, isn't it? Like they keep referring to in Scout. Like all their midfielders seem to, if they're playing, they can get hauls. Like you just don't know who's going to be.
Bernardo Silva.
You might as well just get a hat of Man City midfielders' names and just start pulling names out because there's no knowing who's going to start or guaranteed to start. I mean, I thought Silva was set in stone, armband captain. You know, Kevin De Bruyne out. I thought, you know, he's bound to start, and didn't even play a minute.
Does that just as an owner of David Silva, then does that then worry you that you bought him in?
I think anyone that owns a City midfielder right now. I mean, even Aguero to a certain extent. I mean, he's starting games. As the season goes on, more, the important Champions League games, cup games, anyone that owns a Man City player is going to almost expect to see reduced minutes or rotation at some point. So no, it didn't bother me. I mean, if he doesn't play against Brighton, then obviously I'm going to be a bit worried. There's a big noise outside the house. So sorry about that. I was trying to work out.
No. Well, the history is actually, even though Brighton have lost both games, they've actually kept it quite tight. It's going with a 2-0 victory to Man City there. Talking of keeping it tight, and it was kind of predicted last week that Newcastle would struggle against Crystal Palace. They got their 0-0, but this week they're up against a Leicester team that just love to score goals, and I think Maddison is going to do something again. It's Newcastle at home to Leicester, and I'm going to go with a 2-1 loss to Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle got the point. Shelby's back in the team. But it's troubling times for Newcastle fans because they've really got a lot up front. And as you say, Leicester, Vardy, Iheanacho, Maddison, Damari Gray. I think it's going to be a victory for Leicester, and I'm going to back them to win 2-1.
There he is again, Jason.
You got to say it first.
He copies my predictions, but he won't copy our teams. How peculiar. Leicester's form against Newcastle has been outstanding, and it's going with a 3-0 victory. Now we're on to the crunch game. Now, you're going to be fascinated by. I'm going to reveal my team as it stands right now. It's going to change, but I'm going to tell you what the team is, because as I keep going on about, I instantly look at my team the second the game updates. So when I first get to look at my team, when I get the opportunity to look at my phone once the game's updated, and it's the big game of the weekend. It's first versus second. It's Chelsea at home to Liverpool.
Oh my God!
I think this game is so difficult to call. However, Liverpool, the way both teams are playing at the moment, certainly the fact that Chelsea are playing very open and confidently. I mean, they're playing each other tomorrow night in the Carabao Cup. It's going to be kids. We all know this. We're not stupid. So we're not really going to have any much reflection. However, Liverpool's record against the top six is excellent. Well, they like to score goals anyway. Although against Chelsea, they're a bit dodgy. And actually, 3 of the last 6 results have ended 1-1. I was thinking 1-1. I've gone with a 2-1 victory to Liverpool. But as it stands as of now, I've actually got Alonso on the bench. I've got Mane on the bench, and I've got Hazard as captain, because I just think that Hazard might just expose Trent Alexander. That's as it stands. It's going to change, but that was what I did on the game as it updated. And usually when I do that, it normally comes in, because whenever I change it, it all falls. Anyway, that aside, like I said, I think we 2-1 to Liverpool. Dan, what do you think of the game of the weekend? 2-1, I'm guessing.
Should be a cracking game. And Chelsea like to attack, Liverpool like to attack, so I'm really looking forward to watching this game. I'm gonna, because obviously, Chelsea have won all their games apart from drawing against West Ham. Liverpool won all their games for the first time. But I think it's going to be a draw, though, and it's not a terrible result for either team. Obviously, got the Carabao Cup game tomorrow. I'm not sure what team play, but it won't be obviously the teams that played on Sunday. But yeah, I'm going to go for a score draw, and I'm going to go for 2-2.
2-2. The history's going with 1-1. Yeah, Jason, I mean, the reason why I made the decision of benching these premium players, which is pretty much the golden rule of fantasy football, do not bench these premium players. It's because, to be fair, my cheaper players have actually got better fixtures. Do you think I'm an idiot, or do you think that actually it could be a tactic that could work out wonders?
History's proven this game. Well, so far this season, I mean, we've had monster scores from budget bench players.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see the reasoning behind it. But personally, I think if you'd have said this with Mourinho's team, with Mourinho's Chelsea, or with even Conte's Chelsea, I think they might be more set up to defend. But with the way that Sarri plays his football, I think there's going to be a lot of space for the likes of Mane, Salah to get into channels. I think Firmino's going to be lurking and I think I can just see it now. I can see Firmino laying it off to Salah, Hazard at the other end, skipping past Trent Alexander-Arnold, not going to be able to put up with the likes of Hazard, I don't think. I think there's going to be a lot of open spaces in that game. I think it could be a bit of a goal fest, all being well and good, because nobody likes to see two teams defend.
Well, which links us kindly into two teams that are absolutely going to defend, and it's god-awful Cardiff versus god-awful Burnley. Despite our 4-0 victory last week, it was quite literally back to basics. I was told that Bournemouth were absolutely appalling. They missed a lot of chances. We had Sean Dyche had a meeting with the team this week, a pretty much open air fair, which was basically what's going on. What is going on here? And he's basically pretty much referred back to basics. Good old Ashley Barnes, the hero of last year, came on, scored 2 goals. We're up against Cardiff away. Despite, like I said, the 4-0 victory, I had it down as 0-0. I think I've got it. I'm going with 1-1, but it wouldn't surprise me if it ended 0-0. 2 managers, which they just love to defend, and 1-1. I'm afraid.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a great result for Burnley. Back to basics, and Joe Hart did play well again, and my mate Aaron Lennon. I shouldn't say my mate Aaron Lennon, spoke to Spurs, but he played really well.
Can I just interject, Dan? I do find it ironic that a player that I kind of looked in your team, and I was like, well, why on earth has he got Westwood for? He got an assist. I mean,
that was just a placeholder or whatever term people want to use. But I was watching the highlights, and I was like, for God's sake, Westwood, you would have to do something in that game, wouldn't you? But Fair play to him. Got some okay fixtures coming up, so just a cheap option. But yeah, I reckon Burnley's going to win this one, and I'm going to say it will be 1-0 to the Burnley, and Ashley Barnes will get a 92nd minute winner.
The history's actually completely in Cardiff's favour. We've got a terrible record down there. They're going to go with a 2-1 victory. So on to the final game of the weekend. It's Monday night football. Kind of a local derby. We've just talked about them. It's Bournemouth. After being spanked 4-0 last week, what will they do against Crystal Palace, a team that do like to defend? I think Bournemouth will actually bounce back here. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory to Bournemouth. Yeah, over to you, Dan. What do you think of your other team?
My other team, I might not say we now that they've lost, but yeah, pretty shocking results, to be honest with you. Quite a lot of chances, but Joe Hart played really well, to be fair. And then at the other end of the pitch, absolutely shocking Eddie Howe back at his old team. But Crystal Palace got the draw. I'm going to go for a draw on this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1 score draw.
Yeah, the last two meetings between these two have ended 2-2, and then the rest of the other four fixtures have been a bit 50-50 in favour of Crystal Palace and Bournemouth. I mean, I've got it down as 2-2 for the history. So just to conclude this, Jason, doesn't seem like there's going to be a standout captaincy for a high-scoring game this week. Other than Manchester City, can you see any other contenders possibly? I mean, we mentioned Mitrovic. I mentioned Mitrovic possibly being a differential. Ironically, if I did captain him last week, I would have actually made up a bit more ground on you. But is there anybody that stands out where you think, actually, I wish I owned him?
I don't wish I own him, but I think Harry Kane's a good captain pick this week. Anyone that may, after Lacazette, that could be another one. I think he might get a goal or two. But yeah, Aguero is the standout captain choice. I think majority of people are going to go with him. And rightly so. I mean, Man City at the moment, they're just steamrolling teams. But yeah, if you wanted to take a few punts, you could possibly go for Jamie Vardy against Newcastle.
I was literally on the verge of saying that. Yeah.
Or even a bigger punt, Jimenez against Southampton.
Yeah.
But if you've got the balls to do that, then I salute you, sir.
I'm going to say, I'm just going to leave it to one, Raheem Sterling. That's my risky punt, but could pay off. But
I just look at the fixtures. I'm just looking at the fixtures. Do you know that Super Sunday consists of Cardiff, Burnley, and there's no other games?
Yeah. No.
People support Cardiff, people support Burnley.
No. I'm just saying that you've got the majority of the fixtures on Saturday, one game on Sunday, and one game on the Monday.
You'll have to have a word with BT and Sky and chat. Cardiff have got to be on. We give Cardiff our time on this show, I think. But,
yeah.
We'll be on the
I don't know about you, but I liked the two games on the Sunday.
Yeah, I know. It's better when they have two games.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say was that I've got the whole psychological debate of, do I play four of my 11 for the Monday night game? So it's kind of like I've banked on my points on Saturday. The rest of the other top four haven't got any players playing on a Monday evening. Look at the points rolling in. Are you potentially, Jason, thinking of playing most of your players for the 3 or 4 Bournemouth Crystal Palace players you've got, and just put them in the 11 just for that psychological thing of like, oh, I've still got those amount of players left?
Well, my teams, I've already decided my team. There's not going to be any change. I've made my transfer as well.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I made it in the early hours. When did I make it? Sunday night? Early hours on Monday morning. Yeah. Very, very, very early transfer. So it could be a bit of a risk. The person I brought in is a mild rotation risk. But, I'm looking at it now. I mean, it's going to be Fraser, going to be Wilson for me playing on the Monday night. Wan-Bissaka's not going to feature because I just think Bournemouth's going to score. yeah, so wait and see, really. See if my decision plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got there's only one player. I mean, it's the same for everybody. May as well name him. Good old Benjamin Mendy. It's a case of, is he going to play? Is he not? There's been no news on why he's not. Well, there's news on why he's not playing, but there's no news on when he will be back.
Yeah. But
it's a case
of... It's a bit dodgy, that one, because it went from his knee to his ankle to then a bruised metatarsal.
Yeah.
There was reports of him night clubbing or being on a night out the night before the game. Possibly, he's also had a ban from driving. I think Dan mentioned. Did you mention it last podcast? He's had a ban from driving. He's had a fine. My personal opinion, this is just my own, is that Pep Guardiola is possibly doing, trying to teach him a lesson, perhaps. Because we all know...
It concerns me because as it stands, for my 8-point hit, I can't allow Mendy to drop by 0.1 again. He's already dropped in price. I've already lost 0.1. If he loses again, I can't do my -8. Or if I carry it over to next week, a -4. It's going to be impossible because the players that I'm really wanting to bring in, 2 of them, we've already mentioned Salah. I don't have to worry about, but the other 2 differentials, they're definitely going to go up in price. Yeah. So I kind of think to myself, do I act now? Don't worry about the 8-point hit, or just roll it over for next week. Because like you, I don't really want to be taking hits with how well I'm doing this year. But, I've always looked at fantasy, at our league, and I just think to myself, well, it's 8 points. Are you going to make those points up over the next 3 or 4 fixtures with the players that you're going to bring in? And for me, as it stands right now, the answer is yes. So I'm going to be doing...
If you're going to stick with those players, then it's all right. But a lot of people, including myself in previous seasons, have taken hits on players generally as a result of a bandwagon or a knee-jerk reaction, trying to take previous, and they've not performed or have not been happy, and then I've transferred them out a few weeks later. So it all depends. If they're going to be permanent.
These specific 3 players are, well, I've already mentioned Salah, but the other 2, one of them has been performing really, really well for their team, but that's because one of the players that they've replaced is out injured as it stands. Now, when this player returns, will the player that I want be out the team? The simple answer is I don't think he will be. So I'm kind of willing to take that risk. But it's just the fact that I know I'm going to lose money on Mendy, and it's going to be after this podcast, do I bite the bullet and take that 8-point hit? Because I know for a fact that these 3 players will certainly make up the 8 points over the coming 3 to 4 game weeks.
Well, I can tell you that the player the player I took out was Mendy, and I don't have any confidence that he's going to start. And the player brought in has risen in value. I think it's pretty obvious. It's the Trippier transfer. So, I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer at the moment with the fixtures. So we'll have to wait and see whether it's panned out. I mean, if Mendy plays, it's a bit of a wasted transfer, but we'll have to wait and see.
But there we go, Dan. I think that's it.
There we go. Yes, indeed, for the second time. Thanks again, everyone, for watching our Elite FPL podcast about Torbay Elite Fantasy Football League. Hope you all enjoyed it. And obviously, if you did enjoy the video, give us a like, subscribe, and all that sort of groovy stuff. And if you've got any questions, please do let us know.
Before you go, Dan, sorry to interject. We keep forgetting this, and it's really, really annoying. Who's your dead cert bet this week? And did you win?
Yes, sorry, yeah, of course. Man City. They're going to smash Brighton. Sorry, Brighton fans. I don't really care. That's when they'll slip up now. I've said that, but going to go for Man City.
A lot of thought went into that one, Dan, didn't it? I mean,
just to go. Sometimes you got to go with that, all these stats. But yeah, Man City. But
go with my dead cert. It's Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But anyway, leave a like if you've enjoyed the video, leave a like, put a comment. Let us know how we can improve it. If you've got any questions, we've got Instagram. I'll put all the links in the comments in the description box. Feel free to give us a follow on there, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, have a great week, and look forward to the football. And thanks a lot, guys, and see you same time next week. Thanks a lot.